Hi, good morning, guys. I would like to thank every one of you for joining today's webinar. I will be presenting on SmartList Designer this morning. So without further ado, let me share my screen. All right. Now, when we talk about SmartList Designer, this comes with your Microsoft Dynamics GP. So most of you, once you're on 2013 or newer, you would have SmartList Designer. Some of y'all may have SmartList Builder, and that is an ISV that is purchased, and you're able to purchase this software through a company called E1. All right. But today, what we're going to focus on is building some reports using SmartList Designer so that you have a better understanding of how to do so if you're not familiar already. So to get to SmartList Designer, the first thing we would do is go to our administration menu. Then we would click on our reports. We'll scroll down until you reach to SmartList Designer. Now, in SmartList Designer, it allows you to create queries based on table definitions found in your Microsoft Dynamics GP. So here you are able to create a new smart list or one based off an existing smart list. And you're also able to modify your smart list reports that were created using SmartList Designer. All right, so we're going to create a report using SmartList Designer, and we're going to use 3 tables and join those tables together. So a reason that you may want to join one or more tables together is that you may be looking for pieces of information that cannot be found all in one table. So therefore, you may be able to find one table with most of your information in it, but you may also need a field that cannot be found in that table. So we would need to join another table that you want to get the information out of to obtain the data that we need. So the report that I would be building today would be a list of our customers and our sales. So we can have our customer report with their name, number, phone number, email addresses, etc. But we also want to get information that is not found in the report, and we would show you how that's addressed. So firstly, the first thing that we want to do is give the report a name, and I'm going to call it customer sales. All right, my product would be Microsoft Dynamics GP. Now you can choose products based on the various areas, whether it's SmartList, Excel, purchase order, enhancements, but our reports will be coming from our Microsoft Dynamics GP suite. And our series would be where we want to save our SmartList under. So it could be the company series, the financial series, sales, purchasing, inventory, etc. We are going to save our customer sales reports under our sales series. So next we're going to click on the plus sign next to Microsoft Dynamics GP. And here you would see the tables for the modules. So we have all the modules listed under the tables section. And since I'm looking for sales information, I'm going to click on the plus sign by sales. Here you would see all of these tables listed under the sales module. Right? Most of my information that I would be looking for would be in my customer master table. And the reason I know this is because you have some ways in which you can derive to this information. So if I was to go to my customer card, and I go to tools, resource descriptions, we can see that we can get the information based on windows, fields, and tables. All right, so for instance, if I were to go in my Windows resource description, I can choose a particular series within my Microsoft Dynamics GP product. And if I was to look for customer information, say customer address maintenance, you would see within this window, these are the window fields within this particular window. And then these are the various tables that your information could be found within. So one of the tables that I would be using is the RM Customer Master Table. And I'm going to show you in a bit how you can see what is actually within this RM Customer Master Table, so you could ensure that the fields that you want are located within this particular table. So this is one way. Another way would be going to the fields. Now within the fields, if for instance you select a particular field, let's see, let's see if this has anything in it. Okay, so I just picked a random field called entity level, and they have the tables that contain this field name would be these various tables. All right, so you could do that for any field basically within the core system, or you could go granular based on the module. Now lastly, you can go to tables. Now within tables, you have the display name, which is a user-friendly name. And then you have the physical name, which is the actual SQL table name. So for instance, if I was to get the customer information, so let's look at customer master address, for instance, we would see that it's located within the RM00102 table. Also, if I was to look for my customer master summary, you're going to see the table that it belongs to. Now, if I was to click OK, the list of the information off of the columns that you would have within that RM table, you would see them listed here. So here you can see that within that RM table, which is the RM00103, these various fields you can find within this particular table. Let's see if we could find the customer master. Oops, wrong series. Let's go back to sales. All right, so our RM customer master is RM00101, right? So that's our SQL table. If I select OK, here you can see the various columns that are available within that SQL table. So you get the customer name, you get your contact person, your address, zip code, phone number, right? So this looks like pretty much the information that we want to bring in within our report. So because this table has the bulk of the information that we want, we're going to use this table first. And then any information that we need additional, we are going to join those tables to this master table. So now that we confirm that is in fact our customer master table, we can go back to our SmartList Designer and we can bring in the information that we want from this table. So let's go back and let's bring up SmartList Designer. All right, so now we're going to look for that RM table. All right, so looks familiar. So once we expand that RM table, now we can see the information within it. All right, so let's select some fields that we would like to show. So customer name, let's do contact person, let's do some addresses. Let's see what else. We could probably do a phone number. Yeah, so we can keep it simple. And I could probably do country and city.
Bradley, don't forget
All right, so once we have that information, we could actually execute the query. Now, by executing the query, we can see the same information with regards to the columns that we saw earlier in the customer maintenance window. And then we could see the information based on the various customers. What's their contact person, what's their address, what's the phone number, country, city, etc. All right, so what I would like to note before we move on is that whatever checkbox you mark will be the list of available fields that you could choose from within SmartList. So you know there's an option in SmartList where you have a button, and within that button there's a column on it, and you can add and delete columns. So for those of you who may not be familiar from what I'm speaking about, under SmartList, if for instance you were to select a report, there's a columns option, and that columns option allows you to add columns, and it also allows you to remove columns. So by choosing the fields within SmartList Designer, whatever you have selected is going to give you the option, whether or not you're planning to use it, it's going to give you the option to use it later on if need be. Right? So it's always best practice to select as much information as you would require, and then you could always remove from the report if you don't require that information immediately. All right, so now in addition to what we have chosen, I want to get the customer balance. Now the customer balance is not present on this particular table, right? So if we go through the customer master, we don't see the customer balance figure. So since I cannot find it on my list of tables, what this tells me is that I would need another table that has that information so that I can add it to my report. So I already know what table the information is in, right? I already showed you guys ways that you can obtain the information. So the table that we're going to move to is the customer master summary table. All right. So in our customer master summary table, here is my customer balance field that I require. So I'm going to select my customer balance. I also want to add email information, and I also want to add internet information. These two tables cannot be found in the two tables that I am currently using. So my master table doesn't contain it. And this master summary table also doesn't have that piece of information. So now I have to look for a third table that I would need to join to bring in that information. So the table which holds the which holds the internet information and my email information would be my company table. So that's the third table that we're going to use to build our reports. All right, so let's look for our company table. All right, so here's our company table. All right, and I'm going to bring in, let's see. I'm going to bring in my email address, which is what I want. So let's see what they have. Email attachments. We have internet addresses. Email series. Let's check. Let's check our internet addresses. All right, so under our internet addresses, I want INET1, I want INET2, and I also want my email to address. I'm going to bring back up my customer maintenance window. And you would see the internet address option, which is the globe. This first field, that's INET1, would be your email, and INET2 would be your home page. If I chose an INET3, INET4, that's FTP site, image, and so forth, going down the line. I've also chosen the email to address, so that is going to be the email address that's located within this field. All right. Now that I have everything that I need for my report, so let's go back to SmartList Designer. I have everything now I need for my report. So what we have to do now is link the tables together to get the information that we want. So an important thing to remember that in order for you to link the fields to get the information, they must have a common denominator. Now, this is a unique identifier within the tables, and it must be present within all three tables. All right, and that is what is going to allow us to link the tables. It's going to look for those common denominators, and it's going to link all the tables together, right? Because that one piece of information is within all three tables. So I'm going to use customer ID, and that would be my common denominator across all three tables to link them. Sometimes, though, SmartList Designer may give you a warning that all the fields are not named the same in the all three tables. And that's just basically when whoever was designing, when Microsoft was designing, these tables, they were not, they did not have a standard form. So you may see one table may have customer ID and another table may have a table name called master ID, when in fact it's actually referring to the same name, but I guess they didn't have a communication there where all the names were standard across the board. So you may have instances like that, and you would see that present here. But the customer ID and the master ID, both reflect the same customer ID numbers. All right, so we're going to build our relationship. So the first table that we're going to select is our RM customer master table. Right, this is what we ran the query for. And this actually holds the bulk of our information. All right, we're going to join this customer master table now. We're going to select the denominator, which would be the customer number. And we're going to use a left join. A left join just means that it's going to take all the information that is currently located within the RM customer master table, and it's going to join it to whichever table that you're going to choose. Similarly, right join would be taking all the information from the right table and then joining those corresponding tables from your left table, right? But we want the bulk of the information that's located on the left, sorry, and we want to join to the information that we need on our left table. So that table that we're going to use would be our customer master summary. All right, and our unique identifier would be customer number. So we have a third table that we have not joined as yet. So we have to do another join. So our table name is going to be RM customer master. All right, our unique identifier will be customer number. We're going to do another left join. And our third table is our internet addresses table. And here, as I mentioned earlier, in this table, you wouldn't see customer number, you would actually see master ID, but they're all referencing the same customer numbers. It's just the way Microsoft naming convention was. It wasn't all in line with the other tables. So you may find some instances like that. So you're going to choose our master ID. All right. So now let's run our report and let's ensure that everything is coming up the way that we want it. We could always verify against our customer card and just ensure that all the information is there. So let's click OK. Hopefully we don't run into any issues when we execute. So let's see. We have our customer information. We added our customer master summary, which entailed our internet addresses and our email options from our internet address table. So we also have our customer balance, which came from our customer master summary table. So we can safely say that our information has been successfully linked, right? Wherever you see it's blank, it just means that within the specific window, it does not have the information associated with the particular customer. So if we were to check Aaron Fitz and we were to pull up his internet information, did I close it? Okay, so let's pull up the customer card once more. And let's pull up Aaron Fitz. All right, and let's pull up Smartless Designer. All right, so here we can see that our internet INET1, it refers to the internet information for our email address. INET2, we have our web page, and then we have email to address, which is our emailing address we'll be sending it to. All right, So we could always go in and populate the other information as we go along that we see that we need to be entered. All right, so once you are satisfied with this, all right, you can click OK, and it will generate your report in SmartList. All right, so now our report has been generated with our customer sales information. So the column that I was referring to, you can remove columns. If you want to remove your address, let's remove address, and you want to remove your country information, you could do that. All right, and it's going to reflect on the report, and you could always come back in and add them. All right, you have all the functionality as you would have with our out-of-the-box GP SmartList report. You could do a search on there. You could export to Excel, etc. So you could manipulate your SmartList report as you need. Now, once you have generated your SmartList report, you may not want all users to have access to the report. So now you could always go into your security options within GP and assign your customer sales report to a particular user. And I will just show you guys how you can grant access to your SmartList. So the first thing that we can do would be to go to our security task within the administration console. All right, and then we're going to select security task. Here you can give it a name. If you want, you can name it exactly what the report is. So we're going to name it customer sales. All right, our category is sales, and our product would be SmartList. All right, this is a SmartList report. The type would be SmartList object. All right, so here now, after your SmartList objects appears, you would see an access pane, and here you can check your boxes of your SmartList objects that you want to grant access. So customer sales is the customized SmartList report that we use, that we created in SmartList Designer. We can select our customer sales report, and then we can save it. What we need to do now is assign our task to a role, right? So I'm going to be generic again. We're just going to name it customers. And I'm going to look for that customer sales report. All right, so this is our customer sales task that we created, and we're going to assign this customer sales task to our customers row. All right, if you need to see all that you have selected within this role, you can use the checkbox to display only the selected task, and it's going to bring up what tasks are assigned to this particular role. All right, so once you have set up your new role, we can click save. And lastly, we're going to open our user security, and the user security setup window is going to allow us to now assign the role to a particular user. right? So this is how you assign SmartList reports. So under our user, we're going to choose John Doe. We'll select the company that the user is assigned to. It could have been more than one. And here we're going to look for our role that we call company. Sorry, customers, my bad. All right, so once you select the customer's role, you can now assign it to your user. All right, so we can see the selected roles that are currently assigned to this user. And let me see. All right, so once you save the particular report that you created and you have assigned it to a task and then assign task to a role and assign the role to a particular user, the user that you have assigned the report to is now going to be able to view that particular report. Now there are instances where you may not be able to view the tables within the report. It may be just the fact that you are bringing up a particular view, or the table that you brought in, the dynamic group does not have access to the tables. And in that instance, you would have to assign a grants permission script to the particular table that you have brought into your customized report, so you have access to those fields. All right, so in SQL is a simple script. I could always send users it if it is the would like the script on hand in the event that they are creating a report based off of a view or based off of SQL tables, and the information is not being pulled in the report is coming up blank. I can send that script to you guys. It's a simple script. It's just called a grant select on a particular table or view to the dynamic group. So once the dynamic group has grant permissions to the table or to the view, you would be able to run the report and view the information within it if it's not already granted. All right. So that is the straightforward process to create a report, a customized report using your SmartList designer. All right, I showed you how to create it and to join multiple tables to get the information that you want, and then assign that report to a particular user, so then they now have access to it to view. So I have some time now that I can take any questions that any persons may have. You can use the Q&A section and I would answer any questions that is available for answering. All right, so it seems that I have been pretty clear in my presentation. And if you guys do have any questions that you think of after this session has ended, you can feel free and email us at operations@optimus.guru, and we would send over any replies that may need answering. So without further ado, if we don't have any questions, then I would like to thank you for joining us this morning. And I hope that you join our future webinars to have a more impactful view on the different areas of GP So I would like to thank you, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, okay. So I just saw a question that came in, and it's from David. Sure, David, you can ask your question. You can type your question within the Q&A box. Can the smartless be developed for us for receivables showing the US balances? Yes, so smartless, once it is your company is reporting in US dollars, yes, these smartless can be developed to bring in that US balance. So the answer is yes. You all are reporting in Jamaica and you want a conversion to US. In that case, no, because what Smartlist does is pull the information that's directly within the SQL tables. So only if the information in the tables is reflecting in USD, then when you pull that information into your Smartlist report, it's going to reflect exactly what's within those fields. It was originally entered in USD. Okay, so what I can do, David, what we can do, you can send me your query, right? And maybe we can look into that a bit further. And I could send you some information on that. So yes, you're asking if we could perform a sum on the total. Yes, so what Smartlist Designer has is something called a function key. And within the function key, you are able to create formulas within Smartlist Designer. So you do have the ability to do that. Any further questions? My email address is, and I can type it in the chat. Right, and I will type it for all panelists who would like it. Okay. Catherine, you're saying that you do not see the client's account number. The account number that you're referring to, which account number are you referring to? The report that I created was a report built on customer sales. Catherine? No, the fields that I put on the report and designer, all of them are present here. So this is the customer balance, which I brought in from another table, which is the customer summary table. And then I brought in the internet fields and the email address fields. The only thing I brought in from the master table was the name, person, address, phone number, and city. No problem. Any further questions, guys? All right, so I've entered my email address within the chat. And if for any reason you guys need to reach out to me, I'm also going to send the operations email address, which is operations@optimus.guru. So you guys can either email me directly or send your questions and queries through operations, and they would get those questions to me and we would respond accordingly. So I would like to thank you once again for joining our webinar, and I hope to see you with our future webinars. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Bye.